Good day, everybody. I am super excited to welcome you guys back to Splints and Whiskey. Splints and Whiskey is the awesome podcast. We're actually celebrating our 1 year anniversary this September. And man, we have been so psyched about all the coolest people that we've been able to meet and kind of build the community, like, and continue to talk to each other, continue to grow in our training with our battle buddies, so that when combat or gosh, any problem with law enforcement or things like that, that we're ready to go. And so today I am super stoked to introduce you guys to my new friend who we met on on LinkedIn. It seems like LinkedIn is like crazy. I feel like I meet so many people on LinkedIn, but we met on LinkedIn. His name is Colby Pickering. And Colby, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about like your background, your resume, and then we're going to talk about the different interests that you have in terms of training, and then some of the cool qualities that I want to tell everybody that I think that you are very, very talented with. So put my own opinion in there, okay?
Oh, for sure.
Good. So,
Again,
yeah, introduce yourself. That's awesome.
like Liz said, my name's Colby Pickering. I've been in law enforcement going on, well, a little over 9 years now. I've been in mainly Florida and Texas for a good part of my life. I like warm weather. No thanks for snow and ice. I moved down. I'm in Southwest Florida currently. I've been down here since 2012. My parents retired down here. I came down here. I attended Florida Gulf Coast University, got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice,
Cool.
and ended up making some contacts through the sheriff's office while I was in college, and just ended up getting on with them probably about 2 to 3 weeks after I graduated.
Mhm.
And I've been there, like I said, probably a little over 9 years now.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. That's so awesome. And a criminal justice major too. I love that. I went to a city school, like a very major commuter college, VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, and their criminal justice department was so awesome. A lot of my sorority sisters were in it, and more like the fraternity people were too, I guess. But it was an awesome program. What was your favorite thing that you studied for criminal justice? Because I remembered, so many of my peers worshipped their major that were like, what were some of your favorite
I was gonna
interests?
say I was kind of maybe always the kid that from I don't know as a teenager like to watch cops, and um,
Yeah.
I ended up attending a criminal justice camp through Sam Houston in Texas.
No way.
That was for high school kids. That was about I think a week long, something like that,
Cool.
and they had all kinds of presenters and presentations. We got to tour Huntsville State Prison,
Oh,
cool kind of
no
stuff. So
way.
that kind of reinforced probably the um, desire to go into it. And in answer to your question, probably it was just I know even after 9 years and people, oh, you won't make money with criminal justice. Well, everybody has their own opinions of it. I mean, would I go back and do that program again? Sure, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still in contact with some of my former professors, but I mean, it was just cool in terms of the classes that we had. One of our professors brought out their canine unit one night from the city, and there was 7 or 8 dogs, I believe. So it gave them training time, and it got us. We got to see like the tracking and how they did vehicle searches, and the dogs could search. They threw some shell casings down. We got to see how they'd search for that. And then
That's
the
so
funny thing was
cool.
they got to, I think it was me and I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 other people volunteered to do a bite sleeve, which if nobody out there has ever done that, or if you get the opportunity to do a bite sleeve, do it. It's an amazing experience.
What's it called? A bike sleeve?
Yeah, just a big sleeve you can put pretty much from your wrist all the way to your forearm. And it's just a big
Right.
sleeve. You can hold it and the dog will come up and bite on
Oh,
your arm.
yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, again, there's all kinds of majors out there and stuff, but how many people can say when they were 21 or 22, oh, what'd you do for class tonight? Yeah, we
Right.
got to
Yeah.
see a canine presentation. I got to get bit by a police dog.
I
I
know.
mean,
Yeah.
it was just,
Not a bad.
that was cool. And
Right.
it was just one of the cool things that looking back that I got to do. I mean, I learned a lot about the criminal justice system and constitutional law, juvenile justice, a wide mix of everything.
Wow. That's so
So
cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun experience. And
Even though I kind of feel like that I'm about 800 years older than you, I did not realize how young and vibrant you were, Mr. Colby, since we talked on the phone. But it's funny. I think you might be my little twin brother because when I was in high school, one of my biggest interests were I was real involved in leadership, like student government and sports and things like that. And so several kids were able to pick what they could be an official for a day. So like all the people that were right trying to get into the best colleges, they wanted to be city manager or mayor or whatever.
yeah,
And I said, I want to be
yeah,
the sheriff, right? So I got to shoot a gun and fly in a helicopter. I mean, it was awesome. And I didn't even really think about that until you were just telling me, how you got interested in your childhood. But now that I sell medical simulation, my mom is like, Elizabeth, this is so perfect for you because I just
yeah. No, for
am
sure.
really,
And I was gonna say,
yeah,
I mean, I've seen even before I followed you, I knew they with technology the way it is, they had some products that were out there like that. And now after
yeah,
following you, I've realized in the past, I don't know, month or two that we've been connected, how
yeah.
many different medical products there are. And I was just saying, I mean, we for the sheriff's office side of things, I've got the basic first aid CPR, the AED, bloodborne, just the basic stuff that we have to go through. I would say we'll continue with that
Yeah.
later on in the podcast, but yeah, I mean, it's just cool to see the different products that they have out there now. And um, I will give the sheriff's office credit. One of the last time that I went through the certification for CPR, the instructor said, "Okay, it's not a requirement, but I'm going to have you guys do it." And he put on, I don't know, like a little kitchen timer or timer on his phone for a minute, and
Oh,
said, "I want everybody in here to go as hard as you can. Do not stop. Go for a minute and practice on the mannequins." And they were, I mean, they were pretty cool. They were responsive and all that, but
it's harder than you think. And then
it's harder
like
than you
you're
think to go flat out for a minute.
for
And you
that
don't realize,
long.
again, and I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I've seen law enforcement do this in um, active shooter scenarios and stuff like that. It's okay. Hey, we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock. And again, just with all kinds of things, you don't realize how long 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute is until
That's
you're doing something like CPR on a mannequin and
right.
or
That's
other
that's
things
like
like that.
that's such a like a killer point. I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you, but that is the
You're good.
thanks. That's such a killer point because um the podcast mainly is a bunch of we're all trainers. I mean, I'm not a trainer. I don't know how I got in this club, but but the rest of you guys are all taking your training classes and learning. I mean, I work with y'all. And so I guess you're like my battle buddies, but I'm certainly not a healthcare professional. However, or provider, I should say, but when I go to different sim labs, and I'll never forget this. We had a guy on the podcast, a couple, third or fourth podcast we did a year, when we first started last year, and he is so awesome. One of my dearest friends. Well, he taught resuscitative medicine, BLS, and all of that stuff. And I thought that I knew CPR. And then when I got in there, he was going harder, 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 and I was not pushing it hard enough. Like I realized, and then I wasn't going long enough. And I was exhausted after it when I
Yeah.
finally got it right. And I don't think that people really realize that, or like, how do we think on our feet in the 30 seconds? I mean,
Yeah.
you're currently right now, you're in the Fort Myers area
Correct.
working, yeah, and you're working so tell me a little bit about, since you said that you were also you had ties to Texas and Florida as well. Did you feel like you have that there's a different dynamic from those two different states? Because I felt like when when especially during COVID, when I would go to the certain states, we would see how differently that they were governed. Like, and so I wondered if law
Yeah,
enforcement
for
or
sure.
sheriff.
I was going to say, I'll make this quick, but yeah, I was born in Indianapolis originally. Um, I moved around frequently due to my dad's job within the insurance industry. He was in that for the better part of probably 40 years, give or
That's
take.
awesome.
Um, so I kind of made a weird triangle for a little bit of Indiana, Texas, Florida, back to Indiana, down to Texas, and here in Florida, so kind of a weird little triangle. But um, Texas and Florida, both warm weather, both good people. Food's good on both coasts.
That's true.
Texas, you get more of the Tex-Mex flair,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, awesome. I love Mexican at the end of the day. And Florida, you can't beat the seafood
Yeah.
anywhere because it's peninsula. We're surrounded by it. But yeah, I mean, good warm weather, nice people, both.
Yeah.
I've traveled back to Texas before. Since I've left, I've been back there once or twice so far. Yeah, I mean, it's just Texas. Texas is Southern hospitality. The funny thing about Texas, it's just so large. Is hey, I'm going to go drive for 10 hours. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say to Texas. But I mean, Florida's kind of similar. Of hey, I'm going to start in Key West and I'm going to go drive for 8 hours. Congratulations,
Yeah.
you're still not even in Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think that you'd be able to handle living like in Rhode Island.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could probably do the snow and ice for like a year if I like had a deadline or something where it's like, hey,
Right.
you're going to live here for a year and then you can come back to more weather. Okay, I could probably make do with that, but
Yeah, you could do that.
yeah, and I mean, again, like what you're saying with COVID. I mean, I was in Florida for majority of, well, all of COVID pretty much. And I mean, Florida was interesting because I mean, again, I only have that experience to speak from because I really didn't travel too much during that. But Florida was good in the fact that we didn't have as many restrictions
Right.
as other places in the country. And I
I
mean, we
know.
had our
I will
freedoms
never forget that.
to
Yeah.
go to Publix and go to the gas station and go to work and go to wherever we needed to go. And I mean, I do remember with COVID kind of in the beginning, it was a little weird because some of the restaurants were shutting down and only did to go. I did travel briefly to New Mexico for about a week or so in August of 2020. And I remember at one point that I went to order something I went to take an Uber and I thought I could sit down somewhere, but the Outback Steakhouse
Oh, yeah.
didn't do sit down, but some of
Right.
the other places did. So I went and ordered that. I'm like, I got there. I took an Uber from my hotel, and I got there and I went in. The guy's like, "Oh yeah, it's not sit down here. It's just to go." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Give me 1 second." So I went back out to the Uber. I'm like, "Hey, I'll tip you or whatever, but can you wait for like 20 minutes?" And the guy luckily was cool. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I don't know anything to do."
That's so
I was like,
nice.
"Yeah, I forgot about this." And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Order your food and we'll go back to the hotel and all that." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so
That
he
is
was
so
cool and waited,
nice.
but it was just one of the things I kind of forgot. It was like some restaurants were open, some restaurants weren't, some did to go, some didn't. And so I got there and did that. And they're like, "Yeah, it'll be 20 minutes or so for your steak and baked potato and salad or whatever." I'm like, "Okay." So got everything, took it back and ate lunch in my hotel. And
That's
it was just one of
crazy.
the things that was like, I wasn't thinking about it necessarily because it was like,
Hmm.
I just went to a sit down restaurant the night before and it's like, oh, I'm going to go to Outback and sit down. It's like, no,
Yeah.
you're not.
Right.
So,
I know. I went to visit Florida during okay, so we stopped think I I just remember that they talked about the 15 days to stop the spread, and it was March
yeah.
14th. It was like, I think it was March 14th. I remember it because I was at Walter Reed on March 12th, and then I came home, and for some reason I started thinking that I had COVID, but I think all of us had this like placebo fear of it or
Yeah. Yeah.
something.
I was just saying,
Right.
I told you before we started the podcast, I think I had some sort of a weird sinus infection or something. And
Yeah.
then I ended up,
You had to quarantine, and it was
yeah, I
awful.
had to quarantine. And then
Right.
after that, I just had a cough that wouldn't go away. And so I
Hmm.
went back to a urgent care, walk-in clinic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
After that, I'm like, hey, I had a sinus infection. It went away, blah, blah, blah. But I have a cough and it just won't go away. And they asked me all their questions, this and that. And we're like, at the time, do you have do you have heartburn? I said, yeah. They said, do you have seasonal allergies? I said, yeah, usually. And they
Right.
said the weird combination of those two things can be causing your cough to not go away. I'm like,
Oh.
so so heartburn and seasonal allergies combined together? They're like, yeah. So they're like, here's famotidine. I think they gave me the generic version of Pepcid or Nexium. And then they
Yeah.
gave me I don't know, Claritin or Allegra or something. And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
take both of these for the next 7 days. And my cough went away. I'm like,
Oh, that's
that's
awesome, man.
strange. But they basically explained it. They're like, yeah, like you're coughing up, you're trying to get like the heartburn out or the seasonal allergies out, and one's
Yeah.
like counteracting the other.
Gosh,
Um,
that's good. I didn't really know
so
that. That's
that
good
was
to
kind of
know.
a strange thing that happened to me during COVID. So now I realize because I've gotten sick once or twice since COVID came about 5 years ago,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I've continued. I've had the cough after the other
That's
symptoms have gone away.
crazy.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to pop some Pepcid and I'm going to pop an Allegra, and it's worked. I don't know. Weird thing about the human body,
Well,
as as you know, and people that listen to your podcast know, it's human body's strange for sure.
yeah.
So
Well, you probably just taught about half of our listeners that would, or more, that how to fix an issue that they didn't know they had, because that's a killer combination that I didn't even think about. I used to sell pharmaceuticals and no one's ever said that to me, but
yeah,
it's
and again,
it's
we're
good
not
to
giving out
know.
medical advice on the show.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly. I know. So, okay, well, I want to talk about a couple things. Number one is when we met. So I guess you can decide which one you want to talk about first. Would you like to talk about how we met first so that I
sure.
can meet
I was
our
scrolling
special
LinkedIn.
guest?
Yeah, sure. I'll grab our special guest in a minute. I was scrolling on LinkedIn. I've been active on there for the better part. I don't know. I've had LinkedIn probably 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Um, Again, starting to try to post more and do better content. And I mean, I've had all kinds of connections on there and stuff. But I was scrolling through it one day. I want to say maybe through one of our mutual connections, Marsh or
Yeah, I
somebody.
think it's
One of our mutual
March.
connections was on there,
Yeah.
and I saw a solid black Belgian Malinois, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I have one of those, and so I was wondering, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I think I messaged you about it, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is our canine demo. We just got him in from Germany, I think you said,
Germany. Yeah.
and it does the same medical simulations, and it can whine, and it can bark, and do all these different things, and it can basically you can put little tiny blood packets in it, and it can
Yeah.
simulate gunshot wounds and this and that. And you went into a whole little thing about what it can do, and I'm like, that's cool. And then I started reading about the other products that you had and stuff that you did. I'm like, that's awesome. That's really cool. I haven't done anything. Like I said previously, I knew about some of the products that had been out there for a little while with the fake blood packets and um, stuff like that. I'm like, I haven't done any of that. That'd be kind of cool. And
Yeah.
we just kind of started talking about the
Well, and
canine
you
and
did the coolest thing because you reached out and you go, you don't bite. First, you asked me what type of dog it was, but then you said,
yeah,
do you have IFACs for them? And so I don't know.
yeah,
You
that's
have to.
something I was gonna say. That's something we've been talking about. I've been looking at for a while. I was at a gun show. I don't know, past 2 or 3 months maybe, and I
Uh,
saw a little canine IFAC kit, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
$50. Okay, it has some of this stuff in it or whatever. Oh, I'll grab that. I don't think I want to grab that this time. I'll grab it next time. And so I just kept kind of thinking about that, and then I saw the Belgian Malinois that you had on there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna see if she can do or knows anybody that can do some sort of a canine IFAC kit just to have it just in case. And again, I have a working dog, but I'll go into that more family pet. But I was like, I'd like something just in case, maybe a mix between basic first aid stuff and trauma stuff, kind of like a good even mix. Because I'm like, again, I have a family pet, but you never know what can happen out there in the world. And I mean, I've got friends through sheriff's office and other places that are canine handlers and former canine handlers, and they're out there. They've got full canine IFACs. They've got trauma. They've got all kinds of stuff in theirs. And I'm like, yeah, you're searching with your dog. You're taking them into houses that you don't know, stuff like that. I can understand why you have that. I'm like, do I need that necessarily for a family pet? Maybe not. But again, the dog goes and sprains his ankle or something one day,
Yeah.
or sprains his paw or whatever, would I like to be able to know how to treat that until I can get him to the vet and get him better medical care? Sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I
That's
will,
so. Do you have any guests inside of your apartment or house right now that may represent
I do.
that we could? I have to see him.
Come here. This is
Look at this,
Shinerbach, everybody.
everybody.
I named him, as we've said, I lived in Texas for a while. I like the
Right.
Shinerbach beer. I couldn't think of anything better. So this is Shinerbach.
Hi,
And
Shinerbach. We love you.
yeah,
I
he
think
is.
that Shinerbach is much prettier than my canine, and I'm sorry to the manufacturer, but I do think that that he is the cutest thing ever, and he's so polite, I swear. So we got to make you an IFAC for him, and I can't wait for you to get it when I finally get out of Mississippi. I'm on the road traveling with work. Look at him. He is so madly in love with you. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
What a
and
cutie.
Shinerbach, I got him from a private company and outside of Houston. Um, a good friend of mine was a police canine handler for the better part of 25 years. And Shinerbach, unfortunately, at the time,
Such an awesome name.
he was bought as a puppy as a protection canine. He didn't have the drive to do that, doesn't like tennis balls or frisbees or anything, so just wouldn't be good in protection work.
Wow.
His owner unfortunately abandoned him for a brief time. Somebody picked him up, old lady, 90 or 95, I think, dog lover, picked him up outside a bus stop in Houston and ended up, she just couldn't handle him, I guess, too energetic, or, I mean, a Belgian
He's
Malinois,
looking out
90 or
for
95
lighting
years
us.
old, that
Right.
maybe not the dog for you, but
Right.
so she donated him to her brother, cousin, preacher, friend, somebody from a local church, I think. And
Oh my gosh.
they ended up knowing, oh, his nose is always to the ground. And so I thought, oh, he'd be good for tracking or search and rescue or something like that. They just, I guess, didn't have the time to put into him or whatever. So they donated him, or attempted to the Houston Police Department at that time. And their head trainer, my good friend Greg Smith, kind of put him through his paces and decided he wasn't good for police work. Again, just no tennis balls,
Oh,
frisbees, just not the drive.
right.
And he called me when he retired and
This is the cutest
opened
picture
his
I've
own
ever
business,
seen.
training police dogs for or training dogs for police contracts in Houston and the surrounding areas. And he called me. He's like, "Hey, I got a dog for you." I was like, "What do you got?" Because I wanted a German Shepherd forever. I just I knew Greg's from when I was in Houston, um, and so I wanted a Shepherd forever. And I'm just like, "Oh, I got this reject Malinois for you." I'm like, "Okay." Um,
He's like perfect.
like,
And now he has his own,
what do you
he
got? He's
has his
like,
own
oh,
iPad.
he doesn't like tennis balls or frisbees. He failed police training. He's a washout, but he'll be good for supposed to be a good family pet. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so ended up a couple weeks later, I paid Greg for Shiner and ended up found a transport company that drove him from Houston to Fort Myers, and I've had him. He just turned 4 at the end of May.
Oh, happy birthday, Shinerbach. My
Yeah.
birthday's in May. Maybe that's why I'm such good friends with Shinerbach, because now he's got an IFAC.
Yeah,
And
I was
he
literally,
is,
when I found out I was getting, and I decided to get the get the dog from Greg. I was like, what's a good name? I can't think. And I was going online. I was thinking for a couple of days of a good name, and I'm like, let's go with Shinerbach.
yeah,
And so that's how I decided on that. I ended up, I don't know if you guys can see it too well or not.
I could see. I love that.
I've got a tin sign I found at a yard sale. I think I paid $20 for it. Says Shinerbach on tap.
Right?
And so that's yeah,
That's
that's
pretty
how
awesome.
Shinerbach got his name, and a little bit of a history about him. And yeah, he's a good family pet. And the funny thing is, I've talked to some of our canine guys at the sheriff's office. You've got a Malinois in a 1-bedroom apartment. What the hell's wrong with you? I'm like, no, you've got to meet my Malinois to understand.
Yeah,
Like,
he's really
it's
chill.
one that I give him enough exercise. I take him to the dog park, and he's just one of those that's very clingy and loves to just lay around and be wherever I am. He's not separation anxiety prone, but probably borderline.
Yeah, and that's kind of how mine is
Yeah,
too.
again, he's just a good family pet, and I've been on Reddit for a while too, and I've talked to some people on there that have been thinking about getting Belgian Malinois, and it's like they're not all crazy, and I mean they're
I
not
wouldn't
all
think that-
crazy high drive and all that. Obviously, again, you're gonna
Right.
anybody out there, you're gonna get a dog. I'd recommend Belgians. They're great dogs, shepherds. I had Cavalier King Charles growing up. They're great dogs as well. So
There's
so much
you
dog
know-
hair in here today.
oh, you have dog hair? Well, he just kissed you, that's why.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But I
again,
wanted to ask you
if
when you
anybody's looking into getting a Belgian, look at rescues, look at shelters. Again, China Boxer Rescue, and he's just a great example of it. All my neighbors love him. Um, and
it's awesome.
yeah, he loves to jump up on you and give you a hug, which if you don't know him, it kind of might be a little scary, but he just wants a hug. He'll kind of wrap his paws around you, and
That's
that's
so sweet. He's like a
that's
little
his thing.
protector. That's so sweet. Well, you brought up Marsh, and I love Marsh so much, and I know that this podcast is like everybody here we're like training junkies, like
No,
I
100%.
yeah, and I know you are. One thing that I really think is so cool about you is that in the brief time that we've known each other, I've learned all of these different courses that you've taken in order to just better your knowledge of how to do public service. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yep.
You've taken a lot of like I know you've done some training with Marsh EMS Consulting, like you've done some of his stuff, and I love Mike Marsh, and then you were looking at this to some different things, but and we can talk about that more, but
Oh, for sure.
I really wanted to talk to you about, and the people will see this on LinkedIn when if they connect, when they connect with you after the show, is that you also have a professional drone license, which I think is amazing. Will you tell me a little bit about that? Because I think, well, and because I mainly call in the military, or I had in the past, that was my main deal. I didn't know as much about drones in the sense in the situations of taking photos and things like that. I thought of it more as the dirty drones that we're seeing in
Yeah,
combat, right?
yeah.
And so, but but then when I found out that you had your drone license, it made me think about everybody on this podcast that listens. All of these people, you've watched a lot of episodes, this. A lot of the guys, they own their own companies. We're all like mom and pop. All of us are just like we're all in it together, trying to do the best we can be and make it affordable and make it the content good and all these different things in our training. And to me, I think it would be a really, really cool thing that if you were able to be a drone pilot and be able to videotape those large scale like mass casualty trainings that like Mars CMS Consulting does it, or like in the
Yeah.
DoD, they do these big mass casualty trainings with maybe on an aircraft carrier, things like that. So tell me a little bit about that, like about your drone license, and if you do you plan to go in that do something with that? Because I think that people, it's almost like Monday morning quarterbacking. It's like we want, you got to watch the tape, we got to do your AAR. And I think it'd be really cool. So have you ever thought about that? Tell me a little bit about the drone thing, because I think it's
Yeah,
really
no, for
awesome.
sure. I'll give or take, I guess I'll kind of start at the beginning. I did hospitality, hotel security when I was in Texas. I lived in the Woodlands. I worked at a
Oh, I
place.
love the Woodlands. I didn't know you lived there.
Yeah, I went to high school in the Woodlands.
No way.
Really. And yeah, so I mean, it was cool. It's for those that don't know, it's a suburb of North Houston, probably about 45, 50 minutes north of Houston.
Yeah.
And I was there from 2008 to 2012. I ended up getting a part-time job at the time at the Woodlands Resort and Conference Center there, and that kind of piqued my interest in hotel security a little bit. And then when I moved to Florida in 2012, when I graduated to attend Florida Gulf Coast University, I ended up making a contact down here at a car show, randomly enough. And they said, "Oh, you need a unarmed security license. It's a 40-hour course. We put it on, blah, blah, blah." Okay, cool. And so I went and studied for that and um, paid for the course, and I got my Florida has it as a Class D unarmed security license,
That's
and
super cool.
kept that. I ended up meeting another trainer at the time, who's since moved and relocated, unfortunately. Um, and I ended up doing a few classes there with him at the time while I was in college. So I got my armed security license, and so I got unarmed and armed. Okay, cool. And I ended up getting those, hung on to those. Um, Florida, in probably a lot of other states, is similar. You have to do a armed requalification, similar to what
Right.
sheriff's deputies go through, and armed security in other states. And so I ended up keeping both of those, thought I might use them through college, never really did, just kept them. And then once I got on with the sheriff's office, they have a policy, unfortunately, that I can't do anything relating to bartending, bail bonds, armed security, investigations, anything like that. So my licenses I've kept them active. They're kind of just sitting there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know we've talked about this before, and I've talked about this with other people before, um, I have all these licenses. I think I've got probably close to 30.
I know. Yeah. Keep. I'm
Give or
sorry.
take. I was going to say,
Yeah.
we
It's
can
a
link
lot.
we can put my LinkedIn up later on at the end of the show. But
Yeah, we
um,
should. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so it just kind of started. I got some of those licenses and realized once I went to work for the sheriff's office, okay, I can't use some of them. Okay, whatever, that's fine. But I just have this, I don't know, thirst for knowledge, like a bunch of your listeners do, I'm sure,
Yeah.
and you yourself do as well. And I ended up probably 2023, I want to say 20, no, yeah, 22, 23, somewhere around there. I've got to look at the card. I ended up, I thought about getting my drone license because the sheriff's office has a drone unit. And so I was like, okay,
That is so cool.
I'll go take the initiative to get it on my own, and maybe social initiative because the sheriff's office has 4 or 5 civilian drone pilots. I'm like that's a unit I could imagine myself in, and so I'm like, okay, I'll go do that. So I studied for it and did some online training for it, and ended up sitting for the exam. Which, by the way, for those of you out there that are going to try to get your FAA Part 107, which is your drone license, it's a lot harder than it looks. But if you study, you know what you're doing, memorize the material, you ought to do all right. So I ended up studying for it. I got it. I sat down with the sheriff's office, chain of command at the time, and they told me, unfortunately, that our governor has outlawed Chinese drone products, which DJI has the main,
Huh.
I want to say 80 or 85% at the time market share of drones that they make. And this is a debate we could get into on another show or something, but
Yeah, exactly.
I ended up getting a DJI drone after the sheriff's office told me that they didn't need me as a drone pilot. I said, okay, that's fine. I can start my own business. I'll do my own thing for a little while. And so I ended up getting a DJI drone. I got the Mini 4 Pro. I think they've come out with a newer one since then, but great drone, takes great pictures, nice and portable.
And you're being very modest because I've seen your pictures and they're amazing. And
sure.
I can't help it. I'm in sales, so I want everybody in the listening department here to think about my sales idea, which is you being able to like go and travel a little bit and record some trainings, because I think it
Yeah,
would be
no, for
really,
sure.
really good for people to see that, to be able to see it from a different angle, to be able to see it from a different perspective, not just boots on the ground, looking to your right and to your left, but being able to have that overview, and then you can really have a nice AAR, after action report,
Yeah.
about what did we do, right?
Yeah.
What we
And so
did
that was
well.
something I ended up, like I said, because I'm limited by policies and stuff, I just ended up starting my own LLC for a little while. And
That's cool.
I ended up, I think, just going out to a couple of the barrier islands we have in Fort Myers, taking some pictures there. And I ended up doing a few art shows actually in my local area. And
That's cool.
didn't end up selling anything, but I did it in the midsummer when like nobody's here. So, but yeah, it was fun. One of the things that was actually beneficial was I talked to a gentleman, and your listeners can look him up, who was an executive protection agent and owns his own business, currently out west now, called Catalyst Training and Consulting.
Okay.
A gentleman by the name of Aaron Malden, and been in the EP business for a long time. And he ended up talking with me and said, drones really aren't my thing, but I like the initiative and like where you're going, because I had talked to him and said, drones, as they are now, can be very useful in residential security.
Absolutely.
With large estates and stuff like that, of you're sitting somewhere and you get a motion sensor notification that, oh, do you know if it's a squirrel or a leaf or a dog or a person with a gun? Do you know any of that? What's easier to search a 50, 60, 100, 500 acre property?
Exactly.
A guy with a flashlight out there, or
Right.
send up a drone that has thermal. And I mean, even drones that don't have thermal still have great capabilities at night. Send up a drone real quick within a minute or so and be able to take that drone and search a large property. And he said, and Aaron was telling me, he said, yeah, let's you and I create a PowerPoint together and refine it a little bit. And I'm doing a residential security course here in a little bit, and I'll give you a half hour or so to present. And so we worked on
That's
refining
awesome.
that for a little bit. So I did a presentation a year or so ago with Aaron Malden and his company Catalyst to some of his guys out there for residential security course, and just kind of got my name out there a little bit. It was good for them because they could understand drones and their uses in residential security. And so that was something that was fun to kind of do from the training aspect of,
I think
again,
it's
again,
really
like you said,
unique.
and again, this was just cool for me is, okay, you can see stuff on the ground. Google Earth can see stuff, but it's not always accurate. But that you take a drone up, you can see something up to 400 feet in the air that you didn't know was there, or
Yeah.
taking a look at something of, oh, this looks cool in the daytime. Go throw it up at night and see what I just did them at my own apartment complex one night, and I ended up showing my property manager a couple of things where I'm like, hey, if you guys can get lights there, that might be a little more beneficial.
Yeah.
And it's just little simple things. And so again, with the drone license, I think to get it's called an FAA Part 107.
I was going to ask you to too.
Yeah,
You like read my mind just then.
Yeah.
Way to go.
And so I think I paid 115, 130 maybe, and flying a drone is not part of the test. So,
Wow.
but again, I just decided, because if you want to fly it recreationally and not do anything monetarily with it, excuse me, you don't have to have a license for it. If you want to do anything making money or anything related to that, get the license just to be safe. The FAA, I know they're cracking down on more people that are unlicensed with it. And
well, especially this past year with that New Jersey stuff, right? Remember that this year when
all the drones that kept randomly appearing, that
right,
was interesting for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, the drones are useful for sure for executive protection, for that realm of things. Again, law enforcement uses them, EMS uses them, fire uses them. They're becoming a lot more and more popular. I've demoed thermal drone before. Those things are extremely cool, and that's on my wish list. Maybe one day to get a thermal drone and play around with that. And I know you and I previously talked about it before. You can rent them for a weekend for a few $100, and that's something definitely cool. And yeah, I was going to say drones, I think, are a good part of our future, as well as AI and a bunch of other stuff out there.
I cannot agree more. I was actually watching something on it last night. I'm on what I call the Tour de Procure. This is the end of the fiscal year for us for the military. So I've been as you know, I've been driving all over the world with my mannequins and IFACs and the dog and all this stuff. And people probably think that I'm a murderer on the highway, but I'm just a medical simulation sales girl.
You just gotta stick the dog out the window, and then I mean that's yeah.
I know everybody always says, well, why don't you put them in the HOV lane? But I just want to tell you that once you get all these gigs for your drone company, just don't forget the little people, okay? Because I think it was my idea.
No, for sure. 100%. But yeah, like I said, if anybody out there is interested, get a drone from a reputable company.
No, they need to call you. They need to call you. That's what they need to do. See?
No, but again, like I said, if anybody's interested in getting one to play around in their backyard, great. Get one that's reputable. I will say, and I found out this is a very interesting tidbit that is very, very vital. Drones, the GPS coordinates on them is set to 0 degrees latitude, 0 degrees longitude, which is off the coast of Africa somewhere. So if you get a drone, you're playing around with it, you need to give it time to set the GPS to where you are. If you don't and try to take off too quickly, your drone will try to calibrate to 0 degrees latitude, 0 longitude, which is, again, is off the coast of Africa somewhere. And when the battery dies, your drone will fly away and get as close as it can to somewhere in Africa. So for us down here in Southwest Florida, there's a local drone supply store called Ford Drone Supply and talked to a few of those guys there, and they mentioned that to me, and we all had a good laugh about it because they've seen some flyaways, and based on those coordinates and probably the battery life of the drone, we probably have a bunch of drones somewhere in the middle of the Everglades
Oh my God. I would have
that lose
I would
battery
have
power
never.
and they try
Yeah.
to go to Africa,
Good
basically.
Lord.
So
You're so smart. God, thank you for
just a
teaching
little
that. That
tidbit
is,
I remembered of anybody, like I said, if you want to play with a drone, please make sure it calibrates first to wherever you are, wherever the controller is. Otherwise, it's going to take off and fly away.
that's awesome. That's
So,
awesome. Dude, that is such a killer skill. And I know that I feel like for you that I feel like you're just getting started, like, and you've been doing, you've been serving in public service with the sheriff's department for what, like, so you said 9 years,
yeah, going on
right?
9 years.
Like yeah, and it's like, where does the time go? But you're such a smart guy. You're so inquisitive, and you're always taking trainings. I mean, since I've met you over the past couple months, it's like I'll go like, well, this guy teaches scuba safety or something, and you're like, oh, I'll try that, or maybe learn about that, or
Yeah,
and
I mean,
get
my
different
thing,
sorts of.
and again, I'm sure we can all attest to this, is there's all kinds of trainings out there in all kinds of fields. And
Yeah.
for me, it's just kind of narrowing it down to what's going to best serve me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so far this year, I've done a evasive and defensive driving course um, with a company out of North Carolina. They do a lot of training in Miami called LaSource and Associates.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly train executive protection bodyguards, but they'll train anybody. Um, and that was something cool because again, we all know how to drive, but do you know how to do forward slalom, reverse slalom, drive through cones?
You're
Um,
right.
okay, everybody knows how to drive, and then these guys take you in 2 days and let you test your limits in a safe environment um, in Miami.
That's
That
cool.
was very cool. Again, maybe we all want to be James Bond out there a little bit as a kid. And another training I've done recently that was very cool was a training with a guy by the name of Ed Calderon. Um, you guys don't know who he is. He's got a bunch of videos on YouTube. Very cool guy. Um, was a former federal agent in Mexico, in Tijuana for a while, and now goes around and does a variety of trainings out there in the world. And I did a training recently with him in North Florida called Counter Custody, which was
Mm-hmm.
basically learning to improvise tools, escape from handcuffs, escape from zip ties, stuff like that. Again, is that going to be useful? I don't know. Do I hope I
I'll
never
tell
get
you.
kidnapped in a foreign country? Sure. But I mean, there was a variety. There was probably 20 people in the class. Everybody took it for different reasons. Um, and for anybody out there that wants to know, getting out of flex cuffs is a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give away all the secrets, but again, it's just something I thought was interesting. I wanted to take it for a while. And there's
Mm-hmm.
just so much knowledge from some of these trainers out there, including Ed. Um, and
That's really cool.
yeah, so again, just something cool to do, and something fun to do for a weekend. And I learned a lot, and I put a
Yeah.
few of the things into practice um, out there. But again, if you guys out there want to take a cool course, look up Ed Calderon, and he does some very cool stuff out there.
That's
And
cool.
again, other guys, Aaron Malden does some cool stuff out there with what he does on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Joe Lasorsa travels around a little bit. He does some cool stuff relating to executive protection, bodyguard type of work. Those guys are all very cool.
They're all meeting together this weekend, I think, aren't they? Training. What is it? I think that they're having some EP trainings this weekend, I believe. I'm not. I'm not sure if it's this weekend or early next week, but
but yeah, I was going to say, if anybody out there, again, look up Ed Calderon, Joe Lasorsa, Darren Malden. Those guys all do cool training. I know Joe and Aaron are both on LinkedIn. Ed, you can
yeah,
find on Instagram and on his website. So just a little shameless plug for those guys out there that have provided some cool trainings. Yeah, I
that's
know.
awesome.
Yeah, I know Marsh, Mike Marsh, and Travis, Sam Slishman. A few of those guys out there are meeting in Vegas next week to do
Yeah,
a cool medical training out there. I was going to try to get out there. Unfortunately, I don't think I can make it. But yeah, those guys are going to do some world class training. So if anybody out there is in Vegas or that area, I think they've still got a few spots left. So
well, that's awesome. God, that's amazing that you told. Yeah, I think I don't. I'm not sure if they do have what spots they have. But I think you had talked to them, so if they have extra spots, that's awesome. Man, I feel like I'm getting sad right now because we're at an hour and 11 minutes, and you are like the biggest wealth of knowledge. You're so resourceful. One thing that Sam, Patrick, and I
No
always
worries.
talk about.
We can make this different. Let's do it for an hour and a half and we'll cut it.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, because one thing that Sam and I always say is Sam Patrick, because Sam is like the best host. I'm just, I just love learning from you guys. It's amazing to me the stuff that you learn how to do and that you protect my freedom, right? I mean, we talk about the canines and the handlers. I grew up in Virginia Beach. That's right where, a lot of my friends ended up being handlers working at Little Creek, in special ops, things like that. I mean, so it's just to me so interesting. And then the drone thing is so interesting. It was last night on the news, and I'm not exactly sure the day that this is going to air, but it was last night on the news for me that they were talking about how, the government was just talking about how we really need to look into what types of resources that we can use. That drones aren't going away, so what can
No,
we do, and for DoD, for for military medicine, they are extremely helpful when it comes to whole blood and being able to bring things to the patient and all of those things. But
no.
yeah, but tell me this. So if you had someone, let's say it was like you were a big brother to somebody, like that grew up like you, that had the interest from an early age to be in criminal justice and things like that. What kind of advice would you give to someone because I feel like you were super successful at such a young age. I mean, so
Appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. I mean, so what would you say? You're the servant. I mean, thank you for protecting us. So what would you say to somebody, y- you know, to encourage them? Because that's one thing that Sam and I always talk about with this. We always want to make sure that the guests like leave us with a thought to say, like no excuses or, or go
No,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, what
I was
is
just saying, I don't know
your,
if I have a cool catchphrase like that. I should work on that. But yeah, no. I was gonna say, like I said, I love the criminal justice program that I had. Shout out to
yeah.
Florida Gulf Coast University. You guys are doing a great job with that. But
Oh,
yeah, anybody that wants to get into that, know that there's more to it than law enforcement out there.
yeah.
There's more you can do with that, which I mean, they told us that as well when we were there. Um, I've got friends in federal law enforcement, state law enforcement, EMS, fire, military. I got friends in all kinds of places. Um, and I mean, again, Joe Lasorza, who I just mentioned, has a degree in criminal justice and runs a close to world renowned, I'd say, executive protection company out there.
That's
That's
amazing.
he's got a criminal justice degree. So again, there's all different
There's so many
avenues.
opportunities.
If
Yeah.
anybody's interested in that, just know that there's explore your avenues. Work with whatever college or program that you have. And again, I'll say a degree is a degree. I know you've got a degree, Spanish, I believe.
In Espanol.
In Espanol, yeah. So again, it's people are saying out there, oh, what are you going to do with a literary arts degree? What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with that? I firmly believe um, that a degree is a degree. You can do something with it. You can always go back and get another degree or a certificate or whatever. There's so much again out there, and like I said, I like learning different things and new knowledge and stuff like
That's
that.
how I
That's just
feel
me.
about you.
I like reading books and podcasts and YouTube videos and learning from people.
Yeah, that's what I like about you. I think that if I think that people like if you I think that I could see that you would be such a good mentor to some young guys coming into the field because
I appreciate that.
you really would. And it's because of you're extremely resourceful. You're always you're always challenging yourself. So it's like it's almost like, never stop learning, like be a daily student, and that's what, you know, I think that is a really great quality to have, especially in the environment of what the world that we're in right now, the environment
No, for
right
sure. And
now.
again, I know there's the phrase, oh, the jack of all trades, master of none type of thing.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
can learn all kinds of things about all kinds of things. And I'll say, I think that definitely the cool part about we all have to go through the regular education of high school and college and all that. We don't have to go to college, but again, Higher education is valuable, however you get it, whatever you do. You want to go out there, oh, college isn't for me. You want to go be a welder, do this, do that, whatever.
Right.
Okay, cool, go for that, but don't stop at some point. Keep learning. You want to
Yeah,
be,
I love
you want to
that.
be, you want to be a welder or work in a hair salon or whatever. Keep what's your next step?
Yeah.
What's your stepping stone to the next step that's out there? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm working really hard and I'm uh, a great law enforcement officer. Okay, great. You're a law enforcement officer. What's next? And again, I hate the whole thing. Oh, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I hate that. It gives me anxiety. I don't like it. But
But
it's
yeah, it's
it's
true.
valuable to a certain thing, but just don't stop. If you're a cop, okay, what other classes can you take that your agency will pay for? Oh, they won't pay for the class that you want? Try and work and take it yourself, or try and get a certificate. There's all kinds of um, Skillshare, Coursera, I think Harvard and MIT do certificate classes now. There's,
Hmm.
again, people out there um, like yourself that does simulation type of stuff. Um, again, Mike Marsh, um, some of these guys out there in the medical side of it. Okay, cool. You want to be a firefighter? You want to be an EMT? Great. Okay, cool. You're an EMT and paramedic. Well, what
What do
else can
you
you
do
do in
each
the
day?
in the
Yeah,
paramedicine side? I got a friend
exactly.
that he drove limos for a little bit, and then he decided he wanted to go be a paramedic. He did that, and then decided he wanted to go be a flight nurse and do that realm. And then he took over his family's business now, um, doing marine type of stuff. Um, and so it's just, again, you can have all different types of different careers and this and that. Then um,
I think if
just
I
don't
think about
don't stop
you,
learning. There's all different ways of learning different things out there. And again, like I said, there's a course in there on how to get out of handcuffs. Okay, that's cool. The majority of us ever going to need that? No, but you go to a
well, you
country,
don't,
you
yeah, you
go to,
don't think that
and
you
again, you
do.
go,
Yeah.
and I would say you and I have had this discussion before too. You go outside the U.S., your sense of normal, your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, none of that travels with you.
I don't
So
know. You're friggin' a genius, dude. I love that. That's
just little
so
little tips and
cool.
tricks I've learned out
Yeah.
there from people. But
I think I might have to nickname you like Double L for lifelong learner, and then I'm gonna make you be like my little brother, but I want you to be everybody's big brother because you're awesome. Um, gosh, thank you so much. I'm gonna wrap us up because this has been so killer. I just feel like you gave the I don't know. This is an interesting as well as exciting
no, for
podcast
sure,
for me.
100%. Like I said, thanks again. I know
Thank
we've been talking
you.
about this for a little bit. Thanks again for having me. Thanks for your time.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and I'll just
Thank you
say,
for
you
yours.
have my information, but we can link it in the podcast for anybody else. I'm on LinkedIn. Not too much active on other social media. I try to take a break from Facebook and Instagram every now and then. LinkedIn's
Yeah,
the main thing.
me
Um,
too. Yeah.
my cell numbers, I think on LinkedIn out there. Um,
Yeah,
if
we'll
anybody
definitely
wants
what
to
we'll
shoot
do
me an
is
email with questions, I'm happy to answer what I can. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, you guys, you heard it from Shinerbach's dad's mouth that that if you want to ask him any questions about any of the 30 different licenses that he has, drone operation and all in the classes and how do you even get into it, executive protection, criminal justice, any of those different things, man, it's awesome. My little lifelong learner, I thank you so much, Colby. Thank you for being here on Splits and Whiskey, and thanks just for serving. Thank you for what you do each and every day. As a civilian, I say to you, I'm honored to have met you, and I really appreciate the hard work that you do for our people. So thank
thank
you.
you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Means a lot.
thank you so
Thanks
much.
everybody else for your time as well.
Yeah, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Thanks again. If you guys, I hate doing this plug part. Sam Patrick's much better at this. Show is sponsored by Life Autonomous Care Consultants. I know the owner because she's me. So if you guys need any gear, trauma gear, let me know. But we also have a foundation, and that just started a couple months ago. And it's reminding me, Colby, you just inspired me to even point it out. If you are out there, guys, and you want to take some of these trainings and you can't afford it, the Liz Arts Foundation that we started we have people donate and it's a tax write-off. Companies donate, that some of my manufacturers I work with donate, and we want to send people to training, okay? Because they're awesome people in the community. Also, if you're a trainer and you need gear, then let us know. We've got a community of people. And if you've got a trainer and you're going to teach a class, you can tell me and we'll put it up in the feed in Splints and Whiskey, because this is our community, it's your community. And I just thank you so much. So anyway, Colby Pickering, you are the man, brother. You are the man. And I'm so glad we met. Thank you so much. And I'm going to end it, but then you will stay on and talk. But thank
For
you,
sure.
everybody. Yeah, awesome. Have an awesome week, everybody. And we will see you next week on Splints and Whiskey with another killer guest. All right. Hasta la
Thanks, guys.
vista. Thank you.